everybody who has this success, who's gotten there on this path, says this. It takes a willingness to commit yourself to the process. Most people don't have that willingness because we're always looking or chopping and changing, looking for the next best thing or trying to get ahead or whatever. If you have a willingness to say, right, this is my next 10 years, this is what I'm focusing on, and I'm just going to do this simple thing, I'm going to do it well, and as a result, I'm going to be a better person. And the byproduct could be success. The Dazzler Hendrick. I keep calling you the Dazzler lately. Do you like the Dazzler?
You're not the only one, I don't think.
Okay,
a lot of people do refer to me as the Dazzler, but generally when I'm in my full-on party mode, you know. And I'm
so it's not offensive to you anyway.
Full-on dazzling.
You're full-on dazzling?
No, it's not offensive, no.
Okay, well, welcome, Dazzler Hendrick, back to the podcast to episode 2 of How to Get Rich Without...
Getting lucky.
Yeah. The clickbaitiest title of the world.
It is.
For anybody who hasn't listened to the first episode, myself and Darren did. It's excellent. We've got amazing feedback, by the way. I was telling you before the podcast here. Amazing feedback. A lot of people listening. I really enjoyed it. It was really interesting. So if you haven't listened to episode 1, I would advise you to go back and listen to that one first and then come back to this episode. We're going to go for a little bit shorter this time. We're going to make these a bit more condensed because we've quite a few to get through going forward. So we're going to aim for the hour mark. But look, might end up being here 3 hours later with the phone ringing off the hook. But we'll dive back in where we left off.
Definitely.
And
I think it's also just worth saying, because one thing I've found on reflection with the last podcast, it was information dense.
Yes.
And I think if you're going to go through that, maybe think about digesting it in 15-minute bites and actually, listening to it and then pausing and taking time to process or think about what has been said, maybe go and do some research on some of the points, because it is the kind of content that's definitely worth your attention and involvement, because it is so important to life and can have a massive difference on your direction. I have found anyway from the information I've got from Naval,
I think that's excellent advice, fair play. And I think you're 100% right there. There's a lot of information, and as I explained in the first episode that we did, we're not experts on this. This is all based off Naval Ravikant's tweet storm, who arguably is an expert on this. And we're discovering this, not that we're discovering it for the first time, but we're exploring this with you as you listen here now as well. So it is worth kind of it's taking time to absorb it, and even reading through the tweet storm yourself to get a visual kind of representation of what we're talking about here. And there's lots of people then who comment on these tweet storms and these threads and might give it more perspective and more
absolutely. And look,
context.
I just think what you said there, we're not experts.
Oh, Jesus.
And
the furthest thing from in my case.
And I suppose the biggest thing that we're trying to achieve here is to have a conversation so we can vocalize our thoughts, our current thoughts on this, and through vocalizing them and having a conversation will actually bring us new perspective and then ingrain and refine the thinking that we already have on it. So in many ways, it's a selfish act, I think. But then also the added benefit that if people do choose to listen and they can get value, that's amazing, because financial education and I think our psychology around finance is something that needs to be retaught, or we need to give some attention to. So.
Very eloquently put. I like that. Yeah, and I say this all the time. Every podcast I do is selfish. I want to have these conversations. I want to explore. And it seems that based on the feedback I'm getting, other people enjoy it and they learn from it too. So in what's becoming a tradition, would you mind popping on my fairy lights on that plant before we start? Because I forgot to do it again. The Dazzler has to make us dazzle in here. There's a little button down below there. You get the fairy lights on there. Deadly. Right, we're on. We're live. So let's dive in to the next tweet on our list.
Yeah.
Would you like to read it? Would you like me to read it?
You go ahead, Darren, this one.
I'll read this one. You will get rich by giving society what it wants, but does not yet know how to get at scale.
I'm interested in your interpretation of this, because I'm not really sure, to be honest.
Okay.
I have an idea, but we kind of touched on it before.
Yeah. I have an idea of what this means to me anyway. It might resonate with you. It brings me to, and I'm not sure if Naval referenced this directly, but to Henry Ford's quote of, if I ask the people what they want, they tell me they wanted a faster horse.
Yeah.
So in a lot of cases, people who innovate, they're creating things, solutions, products, services that don't exist, and therefore people aren't even aware that they might require them or need them, but could potentially make our lives better. So what that means, the first part of that quote there means to me, is that if you can come up with an idea for something that could potentially help people or solve a problem. It doesn't matter if they believe that it's, or they know about it yet, or they believe it's valuable yet, because they don't even understand it. And as you pointed out to me earlier on, many of these early adoptions or early inventions were laughed at or ridiculed.
Absolutely.
When they were first proposed, and then became world-changing or society-changing revolutions.
So from the point of the automobile, so Henry Ford, seeing this vision, he's seen a vision of having cars in society and how everyone would be able to get around more efficiently. But the people not only didn't know that they wanted that, but actually there was much adversity and controversy. It was controversial at the time.
A lot of resistance.
And when he first invented the car, people actually laughed at it.
Yeah.
So like general population, general society thought it was just for the rich, that how are they going to actually implement it, because there wasn't the infrastructure, there was no roads, there was no gas stations. So what happens if you run out of gas? And it was laughed at basically. And I think at the time in America there was something like 40 million horses. So just to think how far we've come in such a short period of time. And that is a perfect example of seeing something that society wants but doesn't even know it wants.
Yeah.
You said they wanted faster horses.
Yeah.
And that was probably spoken about a lot, amongst communities. Maybe when they had to do long travels to different locations with the horses, it might take a week. And maybe that's something that they communicated, if the horse could go a bit faster, or didn't have to sleep, or we didn't have to rest. So that in many ways they were speaking about having a car or something like a car.
Yeah.
I wonder what's an example of that in today's society.
It's interesting you asked that question, because I was thinking as you were speaking there, it's not directly related to innovation, but if you think about fixed mindset thinking, or what motivates a lot of people today is, for example, in the corporate world or the career world, more money. If I have more money, I'll be happier or better or more successful, whatever like that. And that can become a fixation. So all you want is more money. But if you actually ask somebody, what are you going to do with that money? How is it going to improve your life? A lot of people don't know. They don't actually know. So bigger picture thinking, it might be something else that they want, more connection, which probably in most cases is true. More connection, or more respect, or more authority, or more contentment within themselves. So if you can provide an option for people that offers some of those solutions, it's not about the money anymore. But if you ask most people what they would like, what would make them happier, it's more money. That's a bit more of an obscure example there.
Yeah, it's interesting
especially
to say
we're talking
that.
about how to get rich without getting lucky.
Yeah, but like I often find when someone says they'd love to win the lotto, because it is quite common that I've only won the lotto, when you ask them what they would do with the money, they kind of are stuck for words.
Yeah,
they
don't
might
really
have
know.
one outlandish thing that they would do, but then it's like, what would you actually do after you get the money?
Yeah.
So it's not so much the money maybe that people are striving for, but it's what that money would mean in terms of having your independence, having your freedom, having your time, which in my opinion is the most important asset or commodity that we have. So it's claiming that back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just thinking, like, how have other people maybe looked at this and seen something that society didn't know they wanted? The internet's an example of that.
The internet, I was just going to say.
Yeah, the internet. Electricity is an example. It's a bit of an older example. And crypto is definitely an example.
100%.
And we haven't realised that as a general society yet, but
everyone's anti-crypto at the moment.
Yeah, because people just think, get rich, the market's down, but
it's dead. Crypto's dead.
It's dead, but it's kind of like looking at the internet and just thinking that all the internet is email.
That's a great way of putting it.
It takes 2 days to send an email. Why would I send an email when I can just post a letter and it's probably going to get there faster? It's kind of similar thinking.
Could you just clarify that what you mean? Because you explained this to me before about crypto, and I was of the opinion it was just Bitcoin, and that's what it was. But you explained to me how, you don't have to go into great detail, but just to give context to people, how it's used in so many different applications, this blockchain technology.
Yeah, so like people think Bitcoin and people think that it's about getting rich. And yes, like generating money is one possibility. There's an opportunity there for that. But like Bitcoin essentially is just the first application that was built on this new innovative technology that's called blockchain technology. So you can think about it, Facebook is an application on the internet. So the internet was, the groundbreaking technology. and everyone in the tech scene at the time seeing that this was going to have a substantial impact on society. And then we had different applications. So Google was an application on the internet that was a search engine that was innovative and user-friendly and had massive positive impacts in getting more people to use the internet. YouTube would be an application. It's a video medium, if you will. Facebook's a social media platform. So you have thousands of different applications on the internet. So thinking that Bitcoin is crypto is kind of it's like thinking that Facebook is the internet.
Okay.
It's very comparable, when in fact that Bitcoin is an engineered monetary system. And that's just one of many applications that can be developed and has been developed on blockchain technology. Essentially, what blockchain technology is, it's a distributed ledger that records information that doesn't require a centralized authority, and is fully transparent and immutable, which means you can't edit the information. So that technology can be applied to essentially a technical democracy where all the decisions are fully transparent. It can be applied to storing information. So you see an application at the moment where we upload information now and it gets stored in a data center, and the people who control the data center have access to our information. But what's happening on crypto is I can upload it to a crypto software. The information gets broken down into thousands of pieces, stored on multiple computers around the world who all contribute to the network, gets encrypted, so no one can access it but the person who has the encryption code. And anyone, so say for example, I wanted it to help with that network, I'd volunteer my computer space and I'd actually get rewarded. I get paid to store that access. So that's claiming your information back. That's another example. And there's many of these examples, but essentially we're very early on in this journey. But blockchain technology is going to impact probably every industry in society.
Yeah.
You can imagine.
And if you asked people, to bring it back to this example, what they wanted, they'd be like, more security on the internet.
Yes.
But you're like, well, here's a different way of doing it.
Exactly.
Like, no, I want more security on the internet. I don't know what this is. I don't trust it. It's crazy. It's all just money or digital money or something like that. And you're like, no. So
absolutely.
I like the way you've explained that, yeah.
And one of the biggest, I suppose, concerns or statements I hear when talking about crypto is, oh, I don't understand it. I'll never understand it. I don't understand it. And it's basically like thinking that you need to understand the complexity of the internet. Like, how many people understand how the internet actually works? It's like thinking that I need to understand computer science, I need to understand the internet in order to go and use Facebook.
Or
to use YouTube. That's not how it works. You go onto these platforms and everything happens in the background, and there's an intuitive interface that's been designed, and that's going to be the exact same and is the exact same with crypto technology. You're not going to need to know about crypto. You're probably not even going to know that actually crypto or blockchain technology is running the software. But that's just going to be the case.
Are there applications that, we're getting sidetracked by crypto right now, but are there applications that we might use currently that are running on blockchain technology that we maybe don't know about?
So Brave browser is a good example.
Oh, very good. Okay. Yeah.
Brave,
a lot of people use Brave, yeah.
So Brave's a new and upcoming browser. It's created by a guy who is responsible for Mozilla Firefox and JavaScript. And that is very heavily integrated with crypto. They have their own Brave token. So that's an example. You don't know you're using, or that runs on a crypto network, or the Brave is its own blockchain, which I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. And there's more examples like that, and there will be.
Yeah.
Like it's a whole other discussion.
Yeah.
But I suppose to bring it back to the point, that's a great example of how people think at the moment that they don't need crypto, and that blockchain technology is not going to why is it relevant to their life? Yeah. Just like everybody before thought, why do I need electricity when I have candles?
Yeah.
Like, what's the point? They didn't see that actually electricity is going to be the future, because it's going to help charge everything in their house, from the microwave to the kettle to wash machine, etc., TV. Same with the what's another example? Cars, planes.
Yeah.
Well, maybe planes are a bit different, but so yeah, we're not at that stage of crypto, but in the future we will have applications, and we will, crypto will have such a major influence in society that we will be looking back being like, whoa. There was before crypto and after crypto kind of mentality, just like now there is before and after the internet, which is often talked about in our generation because we had a period of our lives where there was no internet. So,
There's actually another interesting example which we're doing right now, which is podcasting, which is a slightly different example, but most people were on the journey for shorter form, more digestible, quick, hooking, engaging content, which still exists now, social media, for example, like reels and videos and stuff like that. And podcasting came along then and people were like, no one's going to be interested in this long form, like 2-3 hour conversations. And now it is literally one of the newer ways for people to explore ideas, to develop brand, to develop depth to what they're trying to explain. And it's becoming viral, and it's long form content, which goes against the trend. People think, we don't need this long form stuff. Like we had radio and traditional media and all that kind of stuff. But now people are listening to this long form content, and they didn't know they wanted it until an opportunity is provided. And that brings me to this. The last bit of that point was at scale. So he's talking about you'll get rich by giving society what it wants, but doesn't know how to get at scale. Because if you give one person something and it's not necessarily going to be financially viable for you. If Henry Ford had to build a factory to make a car for one person, but if you can solve a problem that many people want and you can do it at scale efficiently,
definitely,
it's a great way of capitalizing financially on that yourself. So go on.
Yeah, no, sorry. I just think like touching on Henry Ford there, because not only did he innovate in terms of creating a car, I'm pretty sure he innovated in production lines, which was massive. And that kind of is a scaling issue. So I think he was the first person to have a factory and have a production line where each person in the line was responsible for a particular part of the production. So putting the door on or putting a different part on. And in doing that, he created efficiency, and that helped with the scaling issue and the demand issue in society at that time, which is quite interesting.
Did Naval talk about this? Because I feel like it's such a perfect example.
He might have. Yeah. He might have. Probably
I hardly think me and you come up with that. Because it is a great example, because it's the first part, which is give people what they don't know that they want. And the second part, which is he developed a way to produce this at scale.
Yeah. And social media platforms are a perfect example of like absolute scale, and tech companies, because, you create something online or you do something on the internet, you have access to the world or anybody that's on the internet in real time, pretty much. So creating a piece of podcast content or whatever kind of content or some kind of software that solves a problem is massively scalable. And you see this a lot with subscription-based apps. That's why there's such a desire there, because as an engineer or someone who has this idea, I go and put all the upfront energy into it, create it, and then the amount of people that can subscribe to it is essentially limitless.
Yes.
As opposed to if I create a corner shop,
you're limited by your geography, you're limited by your position on the street, by the demographic that's local and stuff like that. And I think we touched on this potentially in the last one. He talks a lot about code or media. If you can develop skills in one of those two realms, you can take advantage of this idea of this scalability on the internet. Because if you create a piece of content, like you've said, there's no real limit to how many people that could access. And the same with coding. If you develop coding skills, everything is going to be code-based, when almost is now going forward. So there's no real limit to the potential you could have developing apps or developing software or getting involved in new technologies like crypto. So if you can leverage something like that.
And he thinks that, scale. Exactly. He thinks that the businessmen in their future are programmers. And I think why that is programmers can develop a software. So say an online business, that's a software. They can probably build it on blockchain technology and then create their own customizable AI to run the business. And that's very forward, I think. Probably not going to happen in the near future, but that's probably where it's going. Now, a lot of people might think, well, coding, like I can't code. It's a language. It's hard to get the grips with, but there's so many no-code tools out there and platforms that enable you to build software and programs that don't require that understanding. And Squarespace is an example of that. You don't need to understand HTML code to actually go and build a technical website. You have these websites that allow you to do it in a user-friendly way that's intuitive. And as we progress, that's going to be more available in different applications and different software. So I don't think that the technical understanding there is going to be essential.
No, and it's a great point because like having built several websites over the last few years myself, I can't code.
Yeah.
Wix, Squarespace, even WordPress and stuff have plugins where it's drag and drop stuff like. But the people who created that technology are benefiting from me buying that interface.
Yeah.
I don't have to know how to code. I pay these guys and they do it, but I can't do it myself. So they've given me a solution to a problem. The solution in my head was I have to learn how to code or pay someone to code. No, I don't. I'm still paying someone to code technically, but now I can access these apps. I didn't even know I didn't even think that this was potentially an option for me before. And they're like, yeah, now you can drag and drop your website. That's a great example because that's limitless for the person who designed the interface, like Squarespace. They've just created this interface. Now, obviously, they have an infrastructure behind that now to manage it and all that kind of stuff too, but very, very scalable. And I learned something about volume and scale with when I was involved in the pet business, the pet accessories business. And it very quickly became apparent that scaling is probably one of the biggest challenges a small business who sells a physical product will come across because your profit margins are very, very tight. So it all comes down to how many can you sell. And as your business grows, you have to sell more, which means you have to increase your overheads massively. Whereas something like Coder Media, you don't necessarily have to massively increase your overheads. Like there's creators and podcasters that are one-person teams doing millions in sales every single year through their content, their courses, their relationships and all that kind of stuff. So it's an exciting time being able to leverage these platforms.
It is.
To create a different type of volume and scale. Even creating content, it's all about the volume you can produce now. So people are trying to figure out ways to create a lot of content in a short period of time. And if you can, again, code or have an efficient process for creating media, it keeps coming back to these two things that are great examples. You remove a lot of the barriers that traditional business, like your corner shop, would come up against.
Yeah, and media is so powerful. And I do think we're moving in a direction where people want to connect with individuals.
Yes.
And we spoke about this a little bit. And you see this, we call them influencers or whatever. But
you're an influencer now.
Yeah, apparently so. But everybody has their own unique conditioning. Yeah. Everyone has their own unique personalities and individuality. So everyone has their own unique value to offer that is in alignment with their journey. And some people connect better to other people. So, we'll meet someone who connects better with each of us that's on our wavelength that maybe is interested in their journey and what we have to offer. But everybody has that. Everyone has their people that align with them.
Yeah.
So another way to kind of leverage scale is if you start, you are the brand kind of thing.
Personal brand stuff.
You've got your personal brand and you've got your own unique value to offer, whatever that might be. And then you get your true 1,000 fans or your true 1,000 people. You can actually create revenue streams off them. That's genuine.
Yeah.
That people want to give you money. And you see this a lot on Twitter. I follow a variety of people on Twitter that I find give me concise, informative information across different industries. But they all follow each other and they all support each other.
Very good.
It's not like this competitive dynamic. It's actually, you have a course now or you have something that I can sign up to or a PDF or whatever it might be. I want to support you. Here's $15 or whatever it is or €15. So I find that to be very intriguing and I think it definitely is the way we're going.
And that's a solution we didn't even know we wanted.
It is.
Bringing it back to this point again.
Yeah. So I think there's good insight in that.
Yeah. Any further thoughts on that point there?
No, I'm happy
with that one.
Yeah. Just, I suppose, there is lots of options there that people can explore for online initiatives and ways to upskill themselves that don't require an awful lot of time, or at least there's a low barrier to entry where if you develop skills, you can get going and start building a portfolio or just, improving yourself.
That's actually a great point to finish this one on, is that if you can allow your mind to open a little bit and not be restricted by, not be blinkered by the traditional message has been or how it has been up until this point, or the conventional wisdom, if you can open your mind a little bit to what is potentially possible, there's probably tools out there that can help you achieve that, even if other people don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
If you can figure out those problems and solve problems for people that maybe they don't even know they have, there's gold in there.
Definitely.
There's
and
gold.
What you'll often find is where the most hesitation or adversity is towards another technology is where the most potential for growth is. And as history has shown, new cutting edge technology such as blockchain that face the most resistance, you'll find the biggest opportunity.
Yeah.
And oftentimes you'll find people who are in them industries at the start are people who end up being the wealthiest or build massive networks and do quite well for themselves.
Deadly. I love it, man.
Great.
I love it. Do you want to bring us on to the next one?
So pick an industry where you can play long-term games with long-term people. I suppose we did touch on that, but look, long-term games are essentially industries that are thriving and have a future, I think. Online companies, some of what we touched on there, and with long-term people. So that's, in my opinion, creating loyalty as opposed to numbers.
Yeah.
So maybe an example is, rather than having like 50,000 or 100,000 people in my network that just kind of are half involved or half interested, I'd much prefer to have a community of 1,000 or 500 who I'm actively involved with, who it is actually a real sense of community and there's much more substance there.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I like that point. That's a great point. Thoughts are, I think this point speaks to a very modern, well, maybe it's just a human phenomenon of instant gratification. Get rich quick schemes, which is ironic because we're literally people who clicked on this podcast are like, oh, maybe I can get rich by listening to this podcast.
But it's not that.
It's not that. And I think Naval clarifies that. We talked about that. He knows the title is clickbaity, but he wants to give real value here.
It is clickbaity.
It's very big, very clickbaity. But like, you got
it triggers something in your brain. I remember when I seen it when he wrote it, I was like, oh,
yeah, because we want results. We want them now. We want instant gratification, especially now we're actually training our brains to be more inclined towards instant gratification. We're messing with our dopamine systems and stuff. So it's very attractive to think that from minimal input, and I think it comes back to like even a survival mechanism within us. I want to put as little input in here to get as most output. I don't want to have to walk for 1,000 days to kill a rabbit.
Yeah, energy preservation. That's what we're biologically designed 100%. For. Yeah.
If I can kill a mammoth and feed my family for the next 6 months and he's only around the corner, fuck man, sign me up for that.
Yeah.
Rather than having to go kill a rabbit every day, like Jesus Christ.
Absolutely.
So I think it's a human thing to want this. I don't think it's evil, but I think like many of our primordial triggers, they don't serve us very well anymore. So we have to be aware of them. And I think get rich quick is one that pings everybody. Ooh, I want to get rich quick. I want to win the lotto. Like I want that right now because it'll make me safe or happy or whatever it is.
And what you'll find is, and this, I don't know, it could be hard to digest or you might think differently, but my thoughts are that if you woke up tomorrow and you were rich and you just got to that point, you got all the money.
Yeah.
I think you'd find that you'd be miserable quite quickly. And when you look at the data around people who do win the lotto,
it's not very nice reading.
It's not like, I don't think like their lives become better. Like
they almost always become worse.
Yeah, because they adapt to the money, and then like their relationships change, and you know it's quite an intense shift in reality.
Yeah,
for them to manage. It's like overnight success, as opposed to having to work for it and struggle for it. And look, I wake up on days I'm like, I want to be rich.
Give me the money.
Give me the money, give me the freedom.
Yeah.
I want to be able to just do what I want to that level. But you see time and time again, people who get to that point finally, they look back and they say, oh God, it was actually the journey that was the most amazing part.
This sounds cliche, but I'm very, very convinced of this, especially because I'm on my own business journey and all right now as well. I'm very convinced of this. In order to achieve success at something, in this case, financial success, it requires a certain set of characteristics and skills that you must develop along the path in order to achieve the success. So in business, you must understand how to build a product or service, how to go through tough times, how to build good, strong relationships, how to listen and communicate and build all these different types of skills, manage money. You have to sort out your mindset around money. And so by the time you become successful, you've developed the skills it takes to manage success. If there's instant success, you've not developed any of those skills. So you're essentially a child and you're being given massive reach and responsibility that you're not ready for. So it can either consume you or destroy you in some one way or another. We see this over and over and over again with overnight success kind of stories. So I'm a firm believer, like what this says to me is playing long-term games with long-term people is you want to be surrounded by people, as you mentioned earlier on, who are invested in you, who you trust and you get on with, who are going to help you learn the skills you need to learn, and who you can in turn give them some value into their lives. And you want to build and nurture these relationships so that when the success comes, you have a good support network around you, you have a good system around you. Oftentimes you can see when money gets involved in relationships, especially if it's a get rich quick scheme or whatever like that, it can completely distort and change the relationship. So by focusing on building really strong relationships and thinking long term as opposed to what can I get right now, you're setting yourself up for success, for real success in yourself. Whereas if you ignore all those things and you want the thing right now, it's really attractive and we're wired to want it, but if we step back and actually be aware and have a bit of awareness around that, it's probably not going to be good for us. And then the long term games, and again, it's what I'm trying to do at the moment. I consume a lot of content, a lot of stuff around business and personal growth and development. I'm really interested in it. But what I'm trying to do now is filter all of that and just take the main messages. And the same thing keeps coming out, especially from a business perspective. The same thing keeps coming out. The people who succeed are the people who can manage to do the simple things consistently for a long period of time. Everybody who has this success, who's gotten there on this path, says this. It takes a willingness to commit yourself to the process. Most people don't have that willingness because we're always looking or chopping and changing, looking for the next best thing or trying to get ahead or whatever. If you have a willingness to say, right, this is my next 10 years, this is what I'm focusing on, and I'm just going to do this simple thing, I'm going to do it well, and as a result, I'm going to be a better person. And the byproduct could be success. But if it's not, I will be a better person at the end of this 10 years.
And you'll have the skills that you've developed.
And that's,
and the discipline and the persistence, and then you can like apply that to another area.
Yeah.
And
that's a long-term game for me.
And you know, just the enjoyment of...
Just give me a little bit closer to that right there.
The enjoyment and the satisfaction of just doing your own path, going your own path, walking your own route, and like cultivating something that you genuinely want to do, not because you feel the pressure of society to do.
Exactly.
And that also means you can like work a job as you normally do, and cultivate something on the side. And I think you can apply behavioral change techniques and compounding to this process. So behavioral change in the sense that if it feels too intimidating at the start, just start really small, 5-10 minutes a day, focusing on the project or the discipline or the learning that you're trying to achieve, and just move steadily in that direction. And then compounding is so powerful because even 10 minutes a day, it won't progress in a linear line. It will happen where it kind of goes steadily and then a really sharp turn upwards.
Yeah.
It snowballs very fast. And you can think about that compounding. It's like creating an elastic band ball or creating a snowball. Actually creating the core of the snowball is quite challenging. But then you create the core and you start rolling, and it's a bit tricky. But the more snow and the bigger it gets, the easier it is to roll. And then all of a sudden, it just gets fucking massive. And that's what compounding is.
Yeah. No, I like that. And I'm going to quote Alex Hormozy here, not an exact quote because I'm brutal with exact quotes. But are you familiar with Alex Hormozy?
A little bit.
Yeah, I like him. I like a lot of his messaging. But he talks about exactly what you've just explained there, this compound effect, and that most people do not have the patience for that. So why I think Naval includes this in here, it's a version of the same thing, is that if you have the patience and consistency to be able to do that, you'll develop all these skills, you become a better person, but the chances of you being successful are massive because you're putting yourself in the 1% or less than the 1% of people who are willing to do this work, even when it's not glorious, there's no real fanfare, but all of a sudden, and you hear this, it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. All of a sudden, it turns the corner and you hit that upward curve on the graph and things to start work out for you. And people are like, oh, you're amazing. This just happened for you. And you're like, I've just put in fucking 6 or 7 years of grind here.
They don't see that.
They don't see that. That's the iceberg below the surface of the water. So this idea is really challenging, especially when you become a little bit older and you're starting this journey, because you're like, another 10 years, do I have it? But another 10 years, like I'll be 43, 44. and I'll still be young, and I'll have 10 years of this work, this consistent work behind me. It's amazing.
And you're going to be 43 anyway.
I'm going to be 43 anyway. And I would rather be 40, 43, 44 looking back going, Jesus, I'm an animal. And then I'm like, what's the next 10 years going to be? I'll only be 54. Like, and the potential for growth there really excites me. And when I have difficult times, difficult days, or where there's shit that I'm like, what the fuck is even the point in this post or this thing I'm doing here, this decision I'm making?
And it happens. It's a part of it.
All the time.
It's a part of the process.
All the time. And this is why people stop.
There's no avoiding it.
Yeah, there's no avoiding it.
So when, like, because that is why people stop.
It is why people, I want to stop.
So how do you overcome that? How do you cultivate, or what are the skills for patience and discipline on that path? What are some outlets or skills that people can cultivate, or
my opinion,
thinking,
take it or leave it. One is find somebody who is on the path who can help you and relate to your journey.
So accountability,
and not even accountability, a mentor who can tell you.
Community.
The community, they're a support network for you. It's not the normal, because like friends and family are amazing. They give you great support, but they've no context for what you're actually doing or going through. It's incredible. I couldn't do this with my friends and family. Like, my support network is amazing. But sometimes you need somebody who is in the same world as you. For example, business, for example, sport, for example, insert the area you're trying to work on here, or the area you're trying to be successful in. And if you have somebody who's ahead of you, it doesn't mean they're right, but they can give you context for the mistakes they've made, for the things that they've done, the challenges they've come across, and be like, okay, so this is just a thing that we have to do. This is just how it is.
It's a process.
It's a process, and you become more comfortable with the process then, because at the start, you do a thing, you don't get an immediate piece of feedback, and you're like, the fuck is this? I'm not doing this thing anymore. But someone could say to you, no, Dan, it was 5 years of me posting on social media before I got any connection with anybody else. It was 2 years of me building my mailing list before anybody bought my product or service. And you're like, oh, okay. And this person is relatively successful in your eyes. So you're like, that gives me a lot of comfort.
That's powerful. But also having someone that's on the same, step in the road as you are on the journey.
Yeah.
Because on days that you're not feeling up to it,
they can buy you.
They can help you.
Yeah.
How do people find that community, find the mentors?
You just got to go look. This is a really a terrible answer for people, because you just got to go looking. Like, for me, it fell in my lap almost, but it didn't, right? Because when I set Primal up, all I knew, I didn't have a great business plan. Trust me.
You took a leap, took a big leap.
I took a big leap. Yeah. And all I knew was, I'm going to create the environment where I increase my surface area for exposure to people who are doing amazing things. In the health world, in the business world, in the personal development world, I'm going to create a space that I meet loads of people. And by meeting loads of people, I'm going to open my mind and be willing to learn from everybody who comes in here, whether I agree or disagree with them. That was my MO at the start. And obviously, I built the business off the back of that model. But it's the same thing for me. Look, just like we said now, this is selfish for me, because by me and you doing this, you're saying things and either agreeing or disagreeing with things that are making me think, okay, the next time I have a hard day or a tough day or so, I'm going to pull on this, and this is going to help me get through that hard day. And you pick up things then. So through that process, I found people who could help, multiple people, you included, who helped me on my journey now by giving me context, giving me guidance, giving me help with skills that I might not have, and by identifying areas where I'm wasting my time, and they give me all this data. I still have to make the decision to do the things, and I still have days where I'm like, fuck this. But that's really powerful. And if you want another layer of accountability, you could potentially get a mentor. I keep saying business, but it applies to anything. Get a mentor on board, who will hold you accountable. You pay these people money. You've got skin in the game. There's multiple ways.
Commit Action is a company that do that.
Yeah,
it's like a accountability company that you can pay, and like have someone check in on you, and they help set up your calendar and tasks and get the ball rolling. And if you're listening to this and you're unsure,
sorry, I'm just going to turn up the face of your mouth a little bit more. There.
Yeah, all right.
Oh man,
there you are now.
Now we have it.
Gotcha. Woo. So if you are listening and you're unsure on where to go, I think one simple solution is like what you offer with the Primal community.
Yes.
It's coming into a community of people. It's available. You are a part of this. You help facilitate, and you're growing this. And that's a community of like-minded people that will align with you, that you can get value from, that you can interact with, and you'll be understood and influenced unconsciously and consciously. That will increase the probability of success for yourself from a growth perspective, and you cultivating the skills or going in the direction that you want to go in ultimately,
Yeah.
or at least figuring out the direction that you want to go in. That could also help with that. So shout out to the primal community.
I love the plug there. I love the plug. Yeah, that's exactly what I try and do here. I'm trying to facilitate and support other people who are trying to do a similar thing. A great example is a personal trainer. Why do people hire personal trainers? Everybody knows. You can go on into the internet right now. Everybody knows sets and reps, and you should eat healthier, and you need more protein, and you have to exercise this many times a week. Everybody knows that. But a personal trainer, number one, will hold you accountable. And number two, will tell you, here's your goal. And based on my experience in this industry with thousands and thousands of people, here is the most effective way for you achieving your goal. Here are the tools you are going to need. Here's the mistakes. Here's the challenges you're going to come up against, and how to surmount those challenges. So you have somebody there who's going to help you. You know how to do it all, but you need some structure, some guidance, some help. And in my personal experience, I thought I knew a lot of this stuff. I know all this. And people would say, you need to do this, 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 and this. I know all this, but I wasn't doing it. And that was the key for me, implementation. And people can help you with implementation and accountability. So I don't know how we got onto that point. But
and look, I think it's a great point, because I've faced that myself. I've put a lot of energy into understanding how to better implement and be persistent and disciplined. And it's helped me over the years, behavioral change, habit formation, just reading about discipline itself, will, and going to the gym, learning exercise, healthy eating, the nutrients that impact my body, help me be more productive. But it's hard to understate how powerful it is to actually just pay someone, whether it's a personal trainer, whether it's a business coach, whether it's a mentor, whatever it is, just that psychological shift and dynamic that happens when you pay someone or when you're accountable to someone. It's so unconscious, but it just is quite profound.
Really profound.
In the impact that it can have. When you're doing a gym session and you have a trainer watching over you, how more involved you are and how more you care about it, you're engaged, and it can really make all the difference.
Oh, I think it's been the key to my success, I suppose. And I think it's key to most people's success. Yeah. And to round off that and potentially finish this point here, it doesn't necessarily just have to be a coach in the context of this point here. Long-term people, if you're getting into business with somebody or even if you're developing an intimate or romantic relationship with somebody, you need to be comfortable that person is the right type of person for you. They're the right type of person that you want to have yourself surrounded by. They're going to help you improve yourself as a person, and you could potentially help them improve as a person. And there's this old cliche of you are show me the 5 people you surround yourself. I'll show you who you are.
But I don't think that I know it's a cliche.
But the cliches are mostly they're cliches because they're true.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I think, quite accepted and is evident definitely in my own life. Who you expose yourself to, you are influenced by them.
Yes.
Unconsciously in massive ways, down to how you think about certain topics, down to your opinions.
Your ethics,
your
morals.
behaviors, your mannerisms. We all think we're very individualistic, but we are so influenced by the people that we associate ourselves with.
Absolutely.
And if you're around people that have limiting beliefs around themselves, have negative kind of mannerisms or thought patterns around society, etc., whatever it may be, you're going to be influenced in that way. And you might not even realize how it's influencing your mind, but it absolutely does. And that's why I think it's so important to align yourself with people who are where you want to be or where you want to be going. Or there's this saying that I love, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
And I love that saying because I don't want to be a know-it-all in the room. Like, I already know everything that I say. I want to be in a room where, like, I'm learning and people are provoking thinking, or I'm inspired by these people. And if it makes me feel a bit inadequate or less, well, that's good. Yeah, it is actually good, because you need to be checked. Exactly. And I need to be in that discomfort, and there's tremendous value there. So
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. I want to give one practical example. It just came to me while you're speaking there. Imagine you're interested in blockchain technology or crypto, and you have 2 people who say, let's do something. And one guy is like, look, we could throw 10 grand in here, we borrow 100 grand by the end of the year. Or you have someone saying, look, I've really researched deeply into this blockchain technology. I think there's massive opportunity here for us to build a network and add some value and potentially potentially could end up being really lucrative for us, but it could take 5 to 10 years. But we're going to really lean in and develop this. They're two totally different types of people. And if you align yourself with the 10 grand guy, you might make 100 grand a year, might make $1 million a year. But for me, while it's really attractive, there's no growth there. And that person is in the get rich quick mindset. And potentially that's going to be harmful in the long term. I'm not going to learn the skills I need, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas this guy has very clearly done his research. He wants to go deep. He wants to learn. He wants to build. He wants to add value. So you have a decision here for the next 5 to 10 years. What am I doing here? Am I going to throw 10 grand and hope for the best, or am I going to invest myself? So I think when Naval says this in terms of, I think the context he's speaking about is when you're making decisions about what you want to do, how you want to invest your energy, time, money, whatever it is, make good decisions and then lean in.
Definitely. And in them two examples, they both offer the possibility of financial reward, which is appealing to all of us, or most of us, I would say. But there's two distinct differences, I think. And one is like when it's just the money, that's the reward you can get.
Yes.
So you have the opportunity to make money. But the second option, there's much more available there than the financial reward. There's the access to network, people you're likely to meet that could become great friends, could become great people to align with for different opportunities that might open doors that you didn't even realize were there. Learning opportunity and growth opportunity, skill development opportunity, and just experiential opportunity in terms of maybe you might meet someone that might lead to a trip, it might meet going somewhere that's just an incredible opportunity. They all deserve to be considered. Yeah.
Well, I would say option 1, there's a potential for gain and a huge potential for loss. Option 2, there's still a potential for loss, but it is inevitable you're going to gain. Because even if it fails, you develop skills you can apply to something else. And this is back to the consistency and the patience thing. It doesn't matter. If you're doing the right things consistently, stuff is going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not the secret. It's not the fucking believe and you will achieve. If you're consistently doing the simple things well and your mind is in the right place, you cannot fail. You'll have setbacks and you'll have things you learn from, but you can't fail because you're going to learn so much. And as you said, you just increase your exposure to people and opportunities, which is amazing. Going to pop us on to the last point. We're pretty much on track here time-wise. We're not doing fucking bad here. We've got one more point to get through now. And we've got about 15 or 20 minutes to do it. So
it's going to be a long series, isn't it?
How many is in this?
I think it's like 30 points.
No problem, man.
Yeah,
we can do 10 podcasts.
We've got plenty. Exactly, we can.
What else are we going to do?
What else are we going to do?
Okay, so number 3 for this particular episode. The internet has massively broadened the possible space of careers. Most people haven't figured this out yet.
Yeah.
Can I jump in on this one?
Go for it.
Because this is something really common I hear. Technically, my business is internet-based because the content we create goes on the internet. Every single person who wants to start a podcast says the same thing, that it's saturated.
I know.
At the start, I was like, oh my God, maybe it is. The more I look at this, it's actually incredible because 99% of people are consuming. There's less than 1% of people are actually creating valuable content online. Lots of people you might have heard of have tried a podcast here or there, but think about the people you know who are actually generating an income and building careers and real opportunities online. It's nobody. It's nobody at the moment, whereas we all have the opportunity to do it. So there's 2 ways to look at this. Number 1, it can't be saturated because if you're creating value, there's going to be people who want to consume that value. Like it doesn't matter if everybody in the world has a podcast, 7 billion podcasts, because we're not all going to be listening to the same podcast. We're all going to be listening to other podcasts.
And people who have podcasts, listen to each other's podcasts. And like I said earlier, if you're in this industry and you have your own personal brand, you support each other. So it's not like you keep everything to yourself. It's that you are actively contributing.
Exactly, yeah. So the fact that most people haven't figured this out yet, I would absolutely agree with that because it's a weird mindset thing. We know the internet exists. Therefore, we think we know every capability the internet potentially has. And this goes back to the first point we discussed here. Most people don't even know the things that are possible with the tools that we have at the moment, let alone the tools that are being developed.
Yeah.
So we don't know how this could benefit us. So a lot of outside the box thinking is required here. And you could potentially, not even potentially, there's people doing it right now, build your entire career, your financial freedom, everything from your box bedroom in your house.
Yeah.
From the rented room that you're living in now. Potentially. I'm not saying you should quit your job and start a fucking blog, But I'm saying the potential is there for so much more than even 5 years ago because of the tools we have access to.
Oh, we have more opportunity now than ever.
Way more.
Yeah.
Way more.
You always hear that logic of, it's saturated. Same with blogging. You know, blogging, I think, is around 20. Is it blogging around?
I couldn't tell you.
20 years or so, but that's always the logic. It's saturated. Dropshipping, it's saturated. Affiliate marketing, it's saturated. But if anything, it just might get a bit more competitive. You might need to educate yourself a little bit better. It might not happen as easily. Just like when the first podcast came out, if there was only 1,000 podcasts, you're obviously much more likely to get exposure as opposed to having 10,000 or 100,000.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you still can't grow. It just maybe means you need a bit more of involvement in the process.
Yeah, I mean, there's 4 million podcasts at the moment, which people are like, oh my God, 4 million podcasts. There's 7 billion people on the planet.
Yeah.
So there's 4 million podcasts, which is nothing. And the vast majority of those aren't active podcasts. So they're not releasing regularly. They're just, someone has started one and left it up there. So the numbers are tiny. Similar for social media. I think it's like 97% of people who are on social media are consumers, not creators. So they're either just consuming or they're repurposing other people's content. 3% of people are creating new content on social media. So it's tiny, the amount of people. And most of those corporations are supported by big money. So it's very few independent people are leveraging these platforms properly. And we don't even know. It's like he says here, the internet has massively broadened the possible space of careers. We don't even know what's possible at the moment here now, which is really, really exciting. But it's a fixed mindset. In my experience, the only people who say that it's saturated, I'll talk about the industry I know, it's podcasting. The only people who say that are people who haven't tried it yet or people who've tried and failed. No one else says it.
It reminds me of traveling.
Yeah. Oh, you went to find yourself in India, did you?
Or not even just
so where
that.
have you been, pal?
Yeah,
I've been down to Loch Shinny. Have you?
But not even just that. Like what you'll find is when you tell people you're going to certain locations like Asia or India, be careful going over there.
Yeah, sorry,
be careful. But like most people who have concern or hesitation have never travelled.
And
anyone who's travelled, they're like, oh yeah, grand.
Yeah.
Like, they get it.
Yeah, it's perspective. It
is perspective. Where do you think we will be in 5 years in terms of the creator economy? Because I think the future is like, and there's a couple of people I follow who are very progressive and at the edge of this, like Dan Kyo is one guy.
Dan Kyo is amazing.
Yeah. So like I actually signed up to his course, Digital Economics.
Did you?
Yeah.
I get his newsletter. I haven't signed up to anything yet.
Yeah, and I'm in his mastermind group actually as well.
Yeah.
And he's very forward thinking.
He's only young.
He is very young, and I think he's based in Austin. So he like digital economics.
Yeah.
That's the economics of the future and these independent creators. And I think it's quite interesting. And, I talk about Irish society and how we're very hesitant in standing out or maybe having our individuality on display publicly or whatever. Where do you think we will be in Irish society in 3 to 5 years?
In Irish society?
Yeah. How do you think it will progress?
It'll be Dan Campion, who's the Dan Kyo of Ireland. I think I'm optimistic about this, right? And I didn't used to be optimistic because the trend with the stuff that we consume and all the stuff online was, in my uneducated eyes, very negative. Because it was leaning towards really toxic, clickbaity, anger, division promoting content. And it still is. But I'm delighted you mentioned Dan Kyo, because there are people out there who are demonstrating to me by doing it. Because a lot of people talk about this. I talk about this a lot. But there's a few people that are actually doing this. Someone like Dan Kyo has built a community online that's dedicated to leveraging all of the platforms that we moan and give out about that are terrible for us, like TikTok and Instagram and all YouTube and all these platforms. And he's using these platforms to provide massive value. And if you're not familiar with Dan Kyo, go check him out, because even his newsletter blows my mind. The amount of value. And this guy's even young, so you'd be forgiven for saying, like, what the fuck does he know? He's only young. But he has curated a huge amount of real value around personal development, business development, content development. And he's using the platforms that we currently have to include us in that and to add value to our lives. And my life has been improved, and apparently your life has been improved by access to this. So that gives me great faith, because that's what I'm trying to do and it's what you're trying to do. And he's showing that it's possible right now. So in 3 to 5 years' time, Ireland, I love Ireland. I love Irish people. I love everything about Ireland. But we have a very, very a scarcity mindset. We do have a scarcity mindset in this country. We have a little bit of begrudgery.
And that's for good reason, maybe.
For good reason.
Yeah. Like
there's
conditioning.
Conditioning.
We actually didn't have much.
We didn't have much.
There was a point that we actually had no food.
100%. So this is not a judgment from me.
No, it's an observation. Yeah, I get it.
We do have a scarcity mindset. I would have been guilty in the past, but we still do, of having a scarcity mindset. You want to protect what's yours. You want to hide. You want to almost pull people down who are doing too well or stepping outside the norm because it's uncomfortable for us.
I wonder, is that like a hierarchical
definitely there's an element of that
characteristic that we just have as well. You have an innate desire to be at the top of the hierarchy, and if someone is on your level that's trying to ascend, that's a threat to your survival potentially.
Or if someone's above you, the only way you can get there is by pulling them down.
Yeah,
or standing on someone below you.
I wonder, is that in us?
It's definitely in us. I don't even question that anymore. And again, it's not a judgment call for me because I'm really interested in understanding where and why it comes from. And obviously, we have a long history of reasons why we might have a certain type of mindset in this country. So it is definitely here, and there's a lot of banter and slagging and stuff around, like if you want to start a podcast or a YouTube channel. But there's an element of truth in that as well, because a lot of people are challenged by you wanting to build a personal brand. Like, who the fuck are you to build a personal brand? Like, what the fuck is your man doing driving a fancy car down the road here? So there is a lot of begrudgery here that's built into our mindset. However, I take great solace in guys like Dan Coe, people like this who are demonstrating that it's possible, and we will follow because we're doing it right now. I have a bunch of clients in with me who are doing it right now. I know you and a bunch of the people you've exposed me to, your friends and your peers who are doing it right now. They're learning how to use these tools and platforms in order to build personal brands or add value or build communities or educate people. Like, my big thing is empowering people. That's why we're doing this right now. I want to empower myself, number one, but by extension, empower other people and spread this message. So I'm very, very optimistic, but there's lots of challenges. And let me get my tinfoil hat on here for a sec. It doesn't serve the system to have individuals empowered. It doesn't serve any system really to have individuals empowered in the traditional sense of systems, hierarchies and stuff like that. So there's not going to be a huge amount of mainstream systemic support for people who want to do this. There's going to be a lot of resistance. Of
course.
And that mindset I mentioned is promoted sometimes, and it's nurtured almost by the messaging we receive through traditional media and stuff like that. So there's a lot of challenges for people in Ireland, I suppose. Look, first world problems. We don't have the same challenges that a starving person in Africa has. But in terms of developing this type of a brand or a network or a community or influence, we do have challenges in this country, but I'm really optimistic. And the people I meet doing my job are amazing. Everybody. Everyone comes in here, and I was expecting a lot more people saying, I want to be number one of the podcast charts, or I want to make loads of money. Almost everybody I speak to wants to add value to their family or their friends or their community. They want to help people. There's so many consultations I do here where we both get emotional. People start crying and I get emotional because this person's like, I have help I can give. Teach me how to get it out there. I'm like, I can help you get this message out there. Let's do it. Let's build this. So I'm really optimistic. From the work you do, your dances and dips and Wim Hof and festivals and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. There's hundreds and thousands of people out there who want to build community, to connect with each other, to create art, to express compassion and love.
Genuine connection is an innate human desire.
Yeah.
And there's levels and depth of connection that we can access, and I think is really crucial to a healthy sense of well-being.
100%. So it's there. It's in us.
It is.
Does that answer your question? So in 3 to 5 years' time, where I think this is I think my laptop just died, so I don't even know what we're looking at anymore.
Yeah.
I think we are in a position where people like yourself, people like myself, people like the clients I just mentioned are actually having a much bigger impact. We're having an impact now, but a much bigger impact. And there's a lot more people following suit and doing the same thing. Like, we're not trailblazers here by doing this.
No.
But
yeah, it's kind of like technology adoption. So like the amount of time it takes for the first 10% of people to adopt the technology. So, gonna put crypto in this again. But say, for example, crypto or the internet or whatever technology, they follow this adoption curve. So the first 10%, the amount of time it takes for that, I'm butchering these words.
No, I know, yeah.
Let me go again, right? The amount of time it takes for 10% of people to adopt a technology, it takes the same amount of time for the following 80 to 90% of people to adopt.
Okay, yeah.
So I just think about that in terms of what we're talking about here. So at the moment, we're probably less than 10% of people, we'll say Ireland and maybe globally, who are shifting into this digital economics mindset, or being a creator or a personal brand, and we're moving along in this way. But maybe when we get past that 10% mark and we're hitting 20, 30%, we're going to see an accelerated growth where it just becomes a society where most people operate in this way, and it's all about individual personal brands in some capacity. And we actually operate in a freelance society where we're just lending our skills, whatever they may be, but we are our own kind of brand. So that's what I would say.
I love that, and that's really interesting stat as well. And I'm going to pull it back because I like to use my own experience rather than just regurgitate things. When I started my own podcast, I remember people who I know saying to me, "What are you doing? We have radio and stuff. You're going to be competing with all these big radio stations and stuff." I was like, "No, this is different. This is me with my message and my value, and it's not tied to anything else." Like, but we have radio. Like, I don't get it. And now they listen to all my podcasts and they get it, and they've stopped consuming a lot of the other type of media. And now, it's not a positive or a negative thing. It's just an illustration of these people resisted at the start because they didn't understand. But once they understood, they were like, "Oh, this is really interesting. This is a different way for me to get information or consume content or whatever like that."
It's funny. There's the same logic, like, podcast. Why would I listen to a podcast when I have radio?
Yeah, but it's a different thing.
Yeah,
you don't even know you don't even know you like this yet. Maybe you won't. There's still some people riding horses, but it's not very many.
No,
most people are driving cars. So it's very interesting. That point is really interesting as well. We don't even know the possibilities, and it links in nice. All these points we said it before link in nicely with each other.
Yeah.
Open your mind. Don't have a fixed mindset. Take the blinkers off. There's so many possibilities here, and the way I like to look at it is, if you have a mission or there's something inside you, like I said, I want to empower people. This all came from a health and wellness thing for me because I worked in the clinic, and I wanted to help people get access to these amazing individuals that I met through the medical industry and the health industry that could help you. I wanted to help other people. I was like, what's the best way for me to do this? And this tool came up, and this tool was podcasting.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, oh, I want to start a podcast. What do I talk about? I had something I wanted to say, and I knew I couldn't say it in a 1 minute Instagram video. I was like, how do I do this? Someone's going to have to invite me on the radio or do a documentary about me. I was like, who the fuck is going to do that?
Yeah.
No, I could start a podcast.
And look at you now.
And look at me now.
Primal computer.
Look at me now.
Taking over.
But yeah, it's just have an open mind. And if you have something that you want to achieve, if you have a goal, if you have a clarity and awareness around it, we don't even know how these tools and this landscape, this digital landscape, could facilitate us. And the chances are everything you need is there, accessible. It's not even expensive. Loads of this stuff is free. It's cheap to get into this world. Just start. And I posted something the other day. I got a great response to this. I posted it the other day about it's all about it, and it was from Naval's book. Like, just start and iterate.
The hardest part.
You'll be shit at the start.
And that's the next point, actually. But we'll get to that in the next episode.
We'll get to that, man. We are bang on the money here.
Amazing.
I think we're fucking bang on the money.
I didn't think we had it in us to do an hour podcast.
I believe.
And that's the secret ingredient.
Yeah, belief, trust, yeah.
Belief and vision form reality.
Is that a quote? Is it?
No, just me saying it.
Darren Hendrick, the Dazzler Hendrick.
The Dazzler Hendrick.
Yeah, you heard it here first, guys. We got t-shirts printed with that written on it. That was lovely. What's the other one I keep quoting you on? Firm opinions, loosely held.
Strong opinions, loosely
same
thing. Strong opinions, loosely held. Absolutely.
You come out with some gold ones, man.
Yeah. Well, look, that one's not mine. That's not mine.
Who's that one?
I first heard it off Muller. Shout out to Muller.
Yeah,
strong opinions, loosely held. I think he might have heard it somewhere, or maybe come up with himself. But yeah, it's a potent one.
Yeah,
one that I've definitely embodied or tried to embody.
Oh well, yeah, 100%. It made a massive impact on me because I try and think about it all the time now as well. So I have you to thank for that. Mr. Hendrick, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been an honour.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. I think we kept that nice and concise.
We did.
We got through 3 of those points again. As I said, we're going to be doing many more of these to get through the rest of this.
For sure. And any questions from anyone, please post them. Don't be shy if you are curious.
Go on, give it a plug.
Yeah, absolutely. Just contact me on Instagram. Contact Danny. Email questions because. Maybe you listen to this and there's parts you don't understand. You'd like, us to expand on. Like, I'm more than happy to answer questions. So feel free.
Where can they reach you on Instagram? What's the handle?
Darren.Hendrick.
Darren.Hendrick.
That's it.
I'm going to have to change it to the Dazzler now.
To the Dazzler, yeah.
And you know where to find me at Primal Pro on Instagram, and you can email me as well. But do you want to give the old podcast a bit of a shout out, because you're in full flight now?
Yeah. So I have my own podcast. Thanks, Danny. I appreciate that. It's Curious with Darren, and essentially my podcast is my ambition to have great conversations with a variety of people from all different backgrounds. With a particular interest, I suppose, in entrepreneurship, mental health, well-being, crypto and blockchain technology is something I want to discuss more, music, and just really anything. I'll speak about pretty much all topics. So it's still early on, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
You're only meant to do 5, and we've blown through that now.
Yes, we have indeed. So thanks very much for
helping
me on this journey.
Starting a podcast? Who do you think you are?
Well, look, that was a big battle I had, man. It took me a year. It took me a year just to overcome the anxiety and doubt, and I really struggled and wrestled with that question of like, who do I think I am, and what am I actually, doing? What is my intention here? Is this an ego pursuit? Am I trying to stroke my own vanity? What do I have to offer? And how will I be viewed in society? These are things that I struggled with. It took me a while longer than I would have liked to overcome these. Not that that was the only thing happening in my life, but it is a part of the process. And when I done the first couple of episodes, I was so much doubt and was kind of like, God, I'll just get them out there. But it wasn't easy. And then it developed into not only being comfortable in it, but being excited about what I can do in the future. And I think for me, I just love conversations. I love thought-provoking conversations. And I think the networking opportunity, the amazing people that I am meeting in itself is wonderful. So anybody that is interested, get in touch with Danny. He's your man, and just take the leap, take the first step. You can always open the door, see what's inside, and shut the door if you don't like what's in there,
Chances are you're going to run head first through it, don't you?
No,
but fair play, and I get treated to some absolutely beautiful live music on the podcast as well. Every time we're in here, we've another live acoustic show, which is fucking amazing. But seriously, guys, the podcast is excellent. Curious with Darren.
Appreciate it.
It's on all the platforms now. And you can find it linked to everywhere this podcast is up to. But Mr. Hendrick, thank you so much for another fantastic conversation.
Thanks for having me, Danny.
Well done. That was excellent and provoked thought in me anyway.
Likewise. It's always thought-provoking when we engage, so I appreciate it.
And that's the point. I will see you in the next episode.
Namaste.
Namaste.